this is a video to support the central nervous system, specifically the cerebral spinal fluid within our central nervous system. And just a brief overview of what the cerebral spinal fluid is it's like the internal river that travels all along the pathway of our central nervous system. So around the brain, inside the brain, these ventricles, it's where the CSF, as it's abbreviated, is located and created inside these incredible vorticid ventricles. And then they wash through the brain and then also travel down in the center of the spinal column and the outside of the spinal column. And then it travels all the way to the sacrum, which is that triangular bone at the very bottom of our spine. And so there's this connection through this incredible water, cerebral spinal fluid, that travels from our sacrum all the way up to our brain and back. And from our sacrum all the way up through our spine into our brain. And how this undulates and moves with the flow is really, there's different ways to have the CSF move freely and healthily. And one of the main ways is through sleep. Because when we're sleeping, we're resting, and we're entering into the deeper states of our wavelengths, is when the waves of the CSF can travel and flow. And it's part of what is so necessary for the health of our brain and our nervous system during sleep. So sleep is definitely one. And then there's breath. Breath is the other way of how, through our breathing, it encourages this movement of the CSF. And so that's what we're going to focus on, because we could just try to sleep here with this video, but that might be challenging. And so with our breath, with dance, with movement, there's all ways that we can bring in a healthy cerebral spinal fluid movement. But for today, in this video, we're going to focus on how breath really is one of the most impactful ways to create this flow. And there have been studies shown where we inhale, the inspiration brings the CSF up towards the brain. And then as we exhale, it brings it towards the sacrum. And we can just feel that in our own bodies right now. Like, what happens when we take a deep inhale and then full exhale? And it's so neat that our body does this naturally. When we inhale, there's an energy and a lifting up. There's a sense of lift up towards buoyancy. In the yogic world, it's called pranic. So like the life force is brought up. And then with exhale, in the yogic world, it's called aponic, which is grounding. And so there's ways that this is already happening to bring in that continuity. And then what's really neat about our sacrum, the sacred sacrum, is that it's this triangular bone that really is the fusion of our ancient tail, because then at the end is where our tailbone is. But this triangular sacrum is also a gentle pump. Maybe not even like a pump as the word, but like it's this most subtle movement. But what it does with our breath is it's what encourages that cerebral spinal fluid to then travel back up. And so we can notice as we are breathing, there's a subtle movement of our sacrum when we breathe. So we can bring that into our own bodies, and just bring your own hand to the area of your sacrum to begin, to find your sacrum right here. And just without even needing to do much, you could be seated, you could be on your knees like I am right now. And just notice as we breathe, is there any sort of movement happening in the sacrum? And it's okay if you don't notice anything. That's why we're practicing. So when we inhale, there's these different actions that are happening. So we inhale, our respiratory diaphragm is releasing down. Our pelvic diaphragm is releasing down to create space with that. And so when that is reaching down, there's almost an arching that can be like the sacrum is lifting up a little on the back end, which would go in tandem with on the inhale, the cerebral spinal fluid is lifting up because our sacrum kind of lifts up on the inhale. So does our chest. So there's this lift. At the same time as that lift of the sacrum, there's a lengthening and opening of the pelvic diaphragm to create that space. And then as we exhale, this pelvic diaphragm with the respiratory diaphragm lifts up to then draw the breath out. So while it's lifting, while we're exhaling, let's see what the sacrum does. So I'm noticing in my body, and you decide for yourself, that there's a subtle lengthening down of the sacrum with the exhale, which again would coincide with the exhale with the cerebral spinal fluid draws it down. So our sacrum, as part of this cerebral spinal fluid motion, the subtle movement with each breath, is part of what is helping it move up and down along with our breath. So let's try that some more. So I like to have my hand on the front side too, just to really feel that front to back connection. So in breath. Out breath. Okay, so now we'll bring this to our backs so you can really start to sense that movement of the sacrum with the breath. So we come to constructive rest pose. And just allowing gravity to hug our body to the support underneath us. Feet are at 45 degrees and feet a little bit wider than the hips. And now here, we'll do that same awareness with our breath and our sacrum. So as we inhale, just notice what shape your low back is doing. Is it perhaps a little more arched? And then as you exhale, is there a little less arch in the low back? So you can even bring your fingers to your low back underneath you and feel that for yourself. as you breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Great. So what's so beautiful is that our body has this built-in natural rhythmic way of like dancing our breath with our cerebral spinal fluid. How beautiful is that? And then when we're sleeping, when we enter in these deeper waves, like into alpha, delta, theta, then that also is what allows the internal river of our cerebral spinal fluid to move. And then right here, how we can connect to that, say there's any challenge with getting to sleep and deep rest. This pose, constructive rest pose, is so effective because we're allowing gravity to do the work. All we need to do is breathe here. So we'll stay here for a few more breaths, just allowing gravity to hug our psoas, our deep part of our core against the spine, and allow our breath to be making this wave-like motion. Inhaling, that sacrum lifts up and cerebral spinal fluid lifts up to our head. Exhaling, it draws the cerebral spinal fluid down, lengthening the sacrum down. Inhale, draws the cerebral spinal fluid up. Exhale, lengthens sacrum and cerebral spinal fluid, travels down. Continue with your own rhythm for a few rounds of breath. Okay, so now we're going to do a little movement just to make sure. Sometimes our sacrum can get a little stuck from life, from sitting so long, from insert what we do with our body. Could be any sort of pattern that can make it so that that movement, that subtle movement of our sacral lever, our sacral pump, can get a little jammed or stuck. And so this is an exercise I'll show, and you can assess for yourself if this feels good in your body right now to help free up any fascial tension or stuckness in our sacrum. So I'll bring our left knee to our chest and then draw your knee up towards your head as much as you can, and then you can reach your knee over towards your left shoulder. And we're going to just massage the leg bone, the top of the leg bone inside the hip, undulating side to side. And you're welcome to stay here, or you can slide your right leg down on the floor. With your right leg on the floor, flex through your foot and really reach through your heel. And staying connected with breath as we inhale, Maybe noticing a bit of an arch still, and where else can we breathe as we inhale into our back body, and still massaging by moving the knee over towards the midline of your body and then over towards the shoulder. And noticing as you exhale, how does that feel in this shape? Okay, so now we're going to draw our left knee into our arms until our arms straighten. So we're creating this traction. And this can also be a nice little stretch on the back of the neck and the shoulders as well. Right foot stays flexed. And so we're tractioning and still connecting to breath. You're welcome to stay here. Or if it feels okay in your body, we're going to draw the right knee up. You can bend it to start. Lift the right leg up to the sky. Foot is flexed. And here we're going to draw the right leg forward and down until it's hovering about a foot above the earth. Keep drawing the left knee in towards the arms. Externally rotate the right foot, toes point out. Bring your right foot out to the right about a foot, and then at this angle, draw your right foot back up to where we started. And then we'll bring our toes back to center. And we'll do that 3 more times. So again, the traction with the right or the left knee in the hands, right foot flexed, and we'll bring our breath to be a part of this. So inhale, right leg forward and down, let it hover. Externally rotate, come out for a foot, and then exhale, draw your leg back up, toes back to center. And 2 more. Inhale, foot down. Externally rotate. Exhale, draw the leg back up. And last one. Inhale, reach forward and down. Externally rotate. Exhale, draw the leg back up. Great. And now we'll hug the right knee in towards the chest. Left foot can be on the floor to start. And we're going to just hug the right knee in and then massage this hip. And like a wave undulating the knee over to the midline and then over toward where the shoulder is. And you can stay here with the left foot on the earth, or you can extend the left foot long. If you do that, flex through your left foot and reach through the heel. And we'll continue to massage the hip, the deep hip, which is also massaging the sacrum as we do this, so that we free up this amazing sacred place for our SCF to flow. Staying connected to breath. And now we're going to draw the right knee forward into the hands to traction, and feel how that creates that, perhaps in your body, a little stretch in the back of the neck too. And then draw the left knee up. Again, you can stay here with just tractioning the knee. So good for the sacrum as well. Or we're gonna lift the left leg to the sky, and we'll do the same thing 4 times this side. So flexing the left foot reach the right knee in towards the hands. Inhale, left foot forward, down, hover. Draw out to the side. Exhale, back up. That's 1, 3 more. Inhale, reach forward and down. Externally rotate. Left toes out to the side. And then exhale, back up. That's 2. Toes come back to center. Inhale. Leg forward, down. Toes out to side. Come up about a foot. And exhale at that angle, back. 3, last one. Keep tractioning your knee into your hands. Inhale, forward, down. Toes out. Exhale, foot back up to the sky and toes center. Hug both knees into the chest. And you can rock your knees and rock your hips side to side. Give a nice little sacrum massage here. And with our hands on our knees, we can do little wide circles with our hands on knees in both directions. And we're gonna roll over on to the left side. Take a breath there. Right hand presses down, right leg reaches long, and slowly come back up to a seat. So with our sacrum a little more activated, tended to, can bring our hand back to where we just were. And if you need to sit on top of a pillow or if you're on a chair, that works too, but just to make sure you feel supported for the rest of your spine. And you're going to bring your hands back to comfortable position. And this next freeing up of the cerebral spinal fluid is going to be a simple movement of our nose, making an infinity sign, an infinity symbol. And why this is such a simple way to bring in balance is that while we're walking is another amazing thing to do to bring in balance. The different ventricles and the different sides of our brain are also getting that movement, and our walking is creating this wave-like motion. So, of course, sleep, walk, dance, singing, all of these things are what really helps attune our cerebral spinal fluid. And this is another simple thing just to bring in more of this balance. Also with the vestibular system, which is really how we balance inside our brain, connecting to our inner ear, these chambers. There's an aqueduct that connects the liquid, the waters of our inner ear with the cerebral spinal fluid. So they're connected. And so this motion will do our nose, making an infinity sign. This helps also free up the fascia of our suboccipitals. So I'm going to turn around and show like this part, the base of our skull, right here. Just like our sacrum can get kind of funky from doing life, you know, our head can have the same impact of crunch, crunch, crunch from maybe looking down or like looking up in a strange way over a long period of time. So this simple practice is to help alleviate the suboccipital muscles, which is also part of what helps that movement of our brain. So even while we're walking, then we can have more of this flow. Okay, so we'll start Drawing, tracing with your nose. Choose whichever way you want to start. An infinity sign. Also so good for balancing the left and right hemispheres of the brain. As you're doing this, stay connected to your sacrum, stay connected to your breath. Great, and now we'll go the other direction. So whichever way you were going, just reverse it. And you can try this with the eyes open or closed. You might have different sensations. Okay, and then we'll take a pause if you feel about balance. And then just notice, eyes can be open or closed. Imagine your head just floating over the top of your spine, the cervical spine, just floating. And we'll do a few intentional rounds of breath here. As we inhale, sacrum lifts a little and bringing SCF up towards the brain. As we exhale, sacrum lengthens, SCF towards the sacrum. You can bring in a visualization of this now as we inhale from the sacrum. Imagine this glowing river of light traveling up from the sacrum, up the spine, up through the brain. Exhale, this glowing river traveling from the brain down the spine and into the sacrum. Inhale from sacrum, up spine to the brain. Exhale from the brain, down the spine, into the sacrum. And continue on your own. Few rounds of breath. We'll bring our hands together in front of the heart and begin to rub your palms together. And then bring your hands over your eyes. Open your eyes inside these little caves our hands are making. And slowly trickle hands down the face as you come back into the space you're in. And if you have water close by, you'll grab a glass of water. Acknowledging this water within our cerebral spinal fluid, acknowledging the water that is without, that connects all of us. As we take a sip and allowing this water to come and wash and connect and merge with our internal waters. So this is a very simple practice to support the central nervous system, and specifically the sacrum and the suboccipitals, to free up this flow between these 2 points for the cerebral spinal fluid to travel up and down, making that pattern for the nutrients and the flow of the way that we hold ourselves in gravity. It's what keeps us buoyant through our spine and our head. It's what allows and helps us process information and integrate. So this SCF is so incredibly sacred, connecting our sacred sacrum all the way up to the brain and all the intelligence that is here as well. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Have a beautiful rest of your day.